was a common insignia, Alpha and Omega. Some wore the Greek letters hand-drawn on their clothing, others had tattooed them onto their bare arms and skin, but they all bore the emblem proudly. To do otherwise would have been traitorous, not just to their own unit, but to the entire human race. The insignia was a constant reminder of just how much was at stake, and the unthinkable consequences of failure. An advance scout, taking point, halted abruptly. He whispered urgently to his commander, who was only a few paces behind him. "Captain!" Captain Rod Wilson, late of the U.S. Army, held up his hand, signaling the rest of the unit to stop. He was a rugged combat veteran who had never expected his tour of duty to extend beyond the end of the world. Wondering what the scout had spotted, he hurried forward to join the soldier, who pointed up the slope straight ahead. Wilson raised his M16 assault rifle to peer through its gun sight, and was rewarded with a glimpse of the enemy. 3 apes, chimpanzees to be exact, occupied a ridge roughly 100 yards away. 2 of the chimps stood guard, while the third watered their horses at a trickling stream. One of the guards clutched a stone-tipped wooden spear, the other toted a Remington semi-automatic rifle. Wilson scowled. By now the sight of apes employing firearms and horses no longer provoked shock, but Wilson still found it disturbing nonetheless. He was old enough to remember when apes were just animals, confined to circuses and zoos and laboratories, caged like the beasts they were, before everything changed, before the virus. Apes were not native to North America. There had been a time when Homo sapiens had been the only primate living free on the continent, when no chimps or orangutans or bonobos or gorillas had inhabited these woods. Bile rose at the back of Wilson's throat as he contemplated the unnatural creatures on the ridge. They didn't belong here. They were wrong, and they couldn't be allowed to exist. He lined up the gun-toting ape in the crosshairs of his gun sight. His finger tensed on the trigger. The humans had the advantage of surprise only until the first gunshot, so he intended to make that shot count. "Say your prayers, monkey," he thought, "if monkeys pray." A hand fell on his shoulder before he could squeeze the trigger. A furry, thickly knuckled hand. The hand of an ape. Momentarily startled, Wilson turned to see a large male gorilla looming directly behind him. The ape's army helmet matched those of the human soldiers, marking him as part of the captain's unit. A heavy rucksack, stuffed with weapons and gear, hung upon the ape's hairy back. Wilson recognized this particular ape, which went by the name of Red because his thick black fur had a slightly reddish tinge. Red was an ugly bastard, but clever enough to know his place, and to come in handy sometimes. "What?" Wilson asked silently, interrogating the gorilla with his eyes. Red pointed up. Craning his neck back, Wilson peered at the verdant canopy overhead, where another helmeted ape crouched furtively in the branches, looking very much at home high above the ground. Not for the first time, Wilson envied the ape's natural gift for climbing and resented them for it. Evolution made humans soft. We're paying for that now. He made eye contact with the chimp in the tree, who pointed at the ridge where the 3 apes were loitering. Looking back at the ridge, Wilson wasn't sure at first what the chimp was seeing from his elevated vantage point. Just the 3 hostiles they had already spotted, or something else? What am I not seeing? It took him a moment, but then he spotted it. A long, low trench wall made up of heavy logs and stones, artfully concealed by overlapping layers of leaves and branches that put the soldiers' own crude attempts at camouflage to shame. The leafy cover blended smoothly with the surrounding wilderness, hiding the wall from view unless you were actively looking for it. "Well, I'll be damned," Wilson thought. "Those sneaky Kongs." Heaven only knew how many more hostiles might be hiding behind the concealed fortifications. The sharp-eyed chimp in the tree had definitely earned his rations for the day. Wilson and his soldiers had practically walked right up to the wall without seeing it. That could have been a fatal mistake. Good thing our own monkeys were on the ball. Wilson nodded at Red, acknowledging the timely alert, before deciding that he ought to notify the colonel of their discovery. A wireless communications headset was affixed to the captain's helmet. He clicked it on and whispered into the mic. "Echo 2-6 to command. Colonel, we have eyes on 3 Kongs in the North Woods. A couple of our donkeys think there are others here, too."